Yo, 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 good people. Welcome to the HerbMan Show. Yo, 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 good people. It's your homie HerbMan. Here you back upside the head with another hot banger boogie. Hey, look, go tell somebody your homie HerbMan is on. And if you're new to the program, welcome you guys. Go ahead and hit that logo right at the bottom of your screen. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so that you never miss what we are bringing to the world. All right, so look, man, I am your resident herbalist. I am your homie HerbMan, and as always, it is free to like, share, and subscribe. You guys, it is your way of letting us know you appreciate what the HerbMan is doing. All right, so what we're talking about today are some of the things that we do here at HerbMan Inc. I want you guys to always understand that I'm not a doctor. Yes, I do know herbalism, but I don't consider myself to be a herbalist, or I don't really like to be categorized in anything, man. I've learned these healing modalities all the way from Chinese to African to Indian to ancient Indian, native Indians, medical astrology, pranic healing, breathing techniques, Reiki. I just put it all together. I put it all together to see why humans practice these modalities to bring about particular healings, why different locations and different races and different regions of people practice differently. All right, even all the way down to voodoo from our traditional African healers. Why were we doing that? Why were we combining divination and all these types of stuff within the healing modality? Why did we consider a person who was sick in the ancient times to have a demonic spirit or a compromised spirit, so to speak? Why was it all about a holistic transference as far as energy is concerned, to be the main understanding of how to heal? You had to transfer out the negative energy and you had to input the positive energy. This is just not something that these people were just dibbling dabbling in, because it went from ancient times, still on the cusp of where we are today in 2021. Okay, and we're still trying to figure out how can someone really come about and be healed. And so you have your homie HerbMan right here. He be telling you, hey man, look, it's all within you. Okay, healing is all within you. Okay, and sometimes, a lot of times, people who hear that don't really understand how is that in me, because if I could heal myself, I would have did it. Well, here's the thing: we've always been taught what to do, but not necessarily how to do these things. And when it comes to how to do something, you've always been hit with a price tag. If you really want to know how, you got to pay for this, you got to pay for that, you got to pay the pastor to know the Bible, you got to pay these yogi instructors and all these mystics. If you want to go see sadhgurus and all these, you got to pay these people for the knowledge that they got. Why? Because people will give you what to do for free. And that's what you're seeing all on YouTube and all in the magazines and all on the social medias and all in the news. You're seeing what you should do right, what you should do wrong. You're being told what to do right, what to do wrong, but nobody really tells you how to come about these things. And so what I want to do is make sure that we introduce the how-tos. I know that we flooded YouTube because it was a lot of how-to videos, but we're getting away from that, and we're charging people for the common basic sense of just letting these people know that it's within them, man. And the real reason why it's within you is because that's where it's always been. That's where it has always been. And how do you know it's in you, or what mechanism that you got to understand that you have in your control to make healing come about in your life? That's what this video is about. So I want to start off, I'm always going to have these elements up here, right? Fire, earth, air, and water, because those are really the ingredients of life. Okay, you can even go and start looking at carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, and hydrogen, right? And then you could put that all in there, and if you understand that carbon, oxygen, hydrogen, and nitrogen are also the 4 building blocks of life from a mineral standpoint. Okay, so You can put all of this in there, okay? And then you understand that fire is hot, earth is dry, air is cold, water is wet. These are some of the ancient humors that the Chinese and all these people were trying to do, okay? And then you can even go even further and look at what are some of these systems that these particular elements represent. Now, also these elements represent your zodiac sign. So if you are Aries, a Leo, or Sagittarius, then you are fire sign, okay? If you are a Taurus and things of that nature, then you are earth sign. If you are a Gemini or a Libra, then you are a air sign, right? And if you are a Pisces or something like that, then you're a water sign, okay? And so there is a way, and there were techniques in the ancient way to let us know which one of these particular things you were out of balance in. Remember that life is just a balancing act, okay? And so that's what it first was started at. Well, what elements of the earth are you imbalanced at? Then what temperaments or humors are you imbalanced with, right? And it was all about nature. All of this is really about nature, and this is your body. Okay, these systems are in your body. And so when we're looking at what the ancient understanding is, and then also how do you find one's imbalance, you have to look at, first of all, who are you? Who truly are you? And this is one of the greatest understandings about healing, because we tend to look at ourselves as that which we were taught to understand ourselves to be. And when you look at taught, T-A-U-G-H, it then transferred into thought. So how you were taught is also a main ingredient for your perspective on who you are. Okay, but if we drop those titles, and if we drop those things that we're trying to live up to, all right, and we just go back to really understanding ourselves, then we can kind of get further in knowing how to heal ourselves. Okay, how do you do that? All healing, and I'm going to repeat this, all healing starts in the mind. If you cannot control your mind, you cannot heal yourself. Because remember that the relationship of healing is between you and nature. I know I say it's within you a lot because it doesn't require anybody else. It doesn't require anything else, but it does require a change of mind. Okay, a change of mind. And in my estimation, what I've come to learn as a healer, not as a herbalist, not as a naturopathic, not as a osteopathic, not as none of these things, but a straight up healer, you have to integrate all of mankind's understanding about healing. Because you're going to walk into different situations with different people, and you got to let each one of those people know that the only one size fit all ingredient to healing for all people is it got to first start in the mind. That's the first lesson for if you're white, if you're black, if you're Chinese, if you're Asian, if you're Spanish. I don't care what walk of life you come from and what region of the earth that you see this video. If you're dealing with cancer at 4th stage, 5th stage, diabetes, if you're on your deathbed, I'm telling you that it's all in the mind. It's all within the mind. It was all about your mind, how you got into those situations outside of natural occurrences, and it's all in your mind how you get out of those things. Okay? It's all in your mind how you get out of those things by natural occurrences. So we have to kind of fight fire with fire when we're dealing with these things. And again, we get so suppressed in our elemental exposure, fire, earth, air, and water exposure, that then our ability to feel these sensations begin to dwindle. You've been out in the hot, but you don't go out there too long before you run into the AC. Okay, you never really try to be dry, so you try to get abundance, right? We try to get abundance. We don't like dry. We don't like when we don't have anything, when we're isolated, when we are without food, without money. We don't like being in that dry condition, so we always try to get abundance right there, right? when have you been cold? You know, you're going to put on some clothes. You're going to get into the heat. You're not going to stay out here in this particular temperament too long for anybody, right? Unless you love the cold. And then the wet right here. If you can't swim, you ain't trying to get wet. You see what I'm saying? If you're not in constant movement, right? Then you're not trying to do that, right? So these are conditions that we don't necessarily balance out properly when it comes to our bodies and nature, right? And again, I use a lot of those analogies because that's how our mind thinks. When it's too hot, we're going to go to the AC. Again, the mind. When it's too dry, we're going to go get abundance because that's our mind, is how we were taught to think about dry. When you dry, you need some wet. When you hot, you need some cold. When you cold, you need some hot. When you wet, you need some dry. You see what I'm saying? So we were taught to go against the grain and not keep ourselves in a particular situation for too long. But what happens is your senses, okay, your sense of taste, smell, and touch and all that, it begins to dwindle, right? And all you know how to do is listen to the body instead of tell the body what to do. And so what you have here is a situation where our bodies are in control of our minds. So you are listening to your body tell you all of the negative things that it wants to do. The body just wants what the body wants. It don't care how you get it, when you get it, what it's made of. It just needs something to eat when it's hungry, right? And you can go out there and eat a dog for all it cares as long as you feel full, right? So the body don't care. It just giving you these sensations. That's it. But if you're only listening to the sensations without any control, then that's when you start allowing your emotions and your hormones and all of this force you into doing certain things, all because you just need to fulfill the sensation here instead of controlling the sensation here. It's a difference between feeling and controlling, okay? And so what is happening with us is when you're solely listening to your body, right? And you're just trying to do what the body needs to do to get it to the next point, the next situation, the next moment in life, then you're constantly being coerced by something that should be in reverse. When you look at this chart right here, the brain is up here for a reason, because it is the central central nervous system. It really sends messages everywhere down in this body, and it is the one that is supposed to be telling the legs to move, the arms to move, your fingers to move, your heart to pump, your stomach to digest, your kidneys to excrete, all of this stuff. The brain is controlling this stuff, but for some reason when it comes to healing, we lose that understanding. And when it comes to disease, we lose that understanding. So in both extremes of healing and disease, we have no control. We lose control. See? So the loss of control is in the extreme of healing and in the extreme of disease. It's not just, oh, I lose it in disease, but I maintain it in healing. No, you have to understand that in order for you to be healed, you have to control your mentalities. You have to control your mentalities. Now, what is a great way to control your mentality? Put yourself back into these elements, right? And allow your body to get these relationships back again with these particular things, and control your mind while you in them. Sit out in the sun a little longer and sun gaze a little longer. The optimal time for sun is between 8 and 10 a.m. Now, a lot of us, depending on where we living at, that sun will not be able to directly hit you due to the trees. See, so if you're living in a home, if you're living in a neighborhood, a lot of times the trees are above our homes, and so at 8 to 10 it's still in the east, so you can't really get that full effect until it get to 12, and that's not the right sun to be in. And then the other best time to be in is from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. All right, that's when it's on the west side. You can probably get that, but if the trees are in the way, you won't get it. So that letting us understand that you either need to be out in the field somewhere or you need to be on top of a building to actually get the right sun that I'm talking about, the 8 to 10 a.m. or the 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. sunlight. That's the healing sunlight. That's where you can sunbathe and sun gaze for at least those 2 hours and not have to worry about anything happening to your skin, but you getting that vitamin D on in, okay? And that's some of the stuff that we got to understand, because people tell us to go do this, but you can't make it happen in your homes and your neighborhoods due to the infrastructure, and where we at is not conducive to our health. See what I'm saying? So that's why you got to make a conscious decision, again, controlling that mind to go out and get these things. Okay? So when we're talking about diseases and all of that, cancer, okay? Cancer is going to be your water. It's a water disease, okay? If you're talking about diabetes, it's an earth disease. Diabetes is dealing with your pancreas. Your pancreas is in your digestive system. That's your earth disease, okay? When you're talking about nerve problems and Alzheimer's and dementia and all of these particular nerve issues that's going on in the people, that's your fire sign, okay? That's the stuff that you need to fix here. You got heart problems and high blood pressure, heart attack, all this stuff. Too much heat in the body. Too much heat in your body, you guys. So this is what you got to understand. Respiratory, asthma, COVID, all this stuff is attacking what? The air system. It's attacking the air system, okay? And because we breathe very shallow anyway, mostly during our normal walk of life, we're not really getting enough of that breath in. So now you're already shallow breathing, and then they're forcing you to wear a mask. What you think is going to happen? This is going to start to diminish as well. Okay, because you start losing your sensories, you start losing your sense of being able to react like the way you need to about a thing, right? And so you don't even know now when you're in disease. We don't even know when we're in disease now. You know why? Because we're not sensitive enough to understand it, or we overlook it. Sometimes we just overlook it. Sometimes that pain keep hitting you and you just like, you know, that's just how it is. Every time I wake up, is my back hurt. After a while, it dissipates. All right. Every time I go to sleep, my head hurts. After a while, it dissipates. I feel like it just whatever, this, that, and the third, stress, whatever. But you keep ignoring that, and then that thing fester up, and now it's come disease. So some of us ignore it, and some of us just don't sense it at all. Okay, so what we do here at HerbMan Inc. is we break all of this particular stuff down for each of our clients, really. And all you really need here is a birthplace, a birth location, a birth time, right? And then that way we can kind of get these elements in, we can kind of get these humors in, we can kind of get these systems to going, right? And then what we do is we chronicleize where you're at as far as your deficiencies, and where you're at as far as the things that you are in excess of. So everybody's not going to be deficient. Some people are going to be in excess, meaning that because they're a fire sign or something like that, they may be utilizing more of their fire, more of their air, less of their earth, less of their water. So in this particular thing, we want to stop doing the excess and start utilizing the things that are inadequate, that you are inadequate in. So at this particular time, I may say, let's stop the hot and the wet, and let's start the cold and dry, right? And that's going to be what? Yin to the yang. Okay, so right here, fire and air, they are complementary to each other. Okay, fire and earth are in contrast. They're the direct contrast. Fire and earth are your main, all right, your cardinals, your main signs. Cold, air and water are what we call secondary. Okay, they're your secondary, not meaning that they take a second seat, but it just meaning that when we're looking at what you mainly do, or what is the main focus, it may be in these systems here, and then you can go into these systems, because basically these help these. Okay, these help these. So you got fire and earth. Fire and air, they expand each other. They really complement each other. Earth and water expands each other, and they really complement each other. Okay, and that's why you see dry and wet, hot and cold. You see what I'm saying? So it becomes very easy now to understand the individual and what they're going through. And not only on top of that, but even if you're not going through anything and you just want to know what I need to look out for, we can do that as easy as the morning sun. Okay, that's easy to do if you're not dealing with anything. And that's why I want people to understand what we're trying to do here at HerbMan Inc. We've always been about preventative medicine, you guys. That's what this is all about, to prevent you from ever having to even experience disease. That means the earliest you could see this video and the earliest you could teach your children to understand this video, then you'll get them away from having to even worry about disease. Why? Because they'll be conscious enough to make sure that their elemental exposure to the physical body, to nature, is balanced with the modern lifestyle. Okay, it's okay to wear clothes, but you still need to be naked. You see what I'm saying? That still needs to happen. It's okay to be cold, but you need to be hot. It's okay to be dry, but you need to be wet. You can't just stay in the, oh, I don't want to ever get no, you gotta have that sensation. Your body needs that in order to keep at top performance. If you never studied social studies in school and then I put you in social studies, you may not ever pass it, right? But if you learn in the 4th grade a little bit about geography, then you learn in the 5th grade, you know, a little bit about geography, then you learn here, then by the time you get to social studies, I don't necessarily have to teach you where Utah at. I don't necessarily have to teach you the capital of Utah, but now I can just teach you just about the history of the United States, right? So that's how this thing goes. So you definitely always want to keep yourself being exposed to these things at every level of life. Okay, so again, this is the best preventive method as well, because if you don't have anything and you want to know just what to look out for, we can utilize your birth time, birthplace, birth location to come up with this bar chart to let us know exactly where you may be deficient in. All right, and then we could say, hey, because you're deficient in earth and air, you may want to make sure that you're getting some groundedness, that you're going outside in the grass, that you're you know, being really close to nature, do some nature walks, stuff like that. And you also want to make sure you're eating the right foods, that you're doing the right thing by the body. And with the groundedness of the nature, and with you eating the right foods, and with you being mindful of your earth and you're paying attention to your body, this begins to increase. So now, where you could be susceptible to skeletal issues, endocrinal issues, and digestive issues, because you are focused now, mindful here, you start to increase there. And it doesn't become something that you keep ignoring because ain't nobody ever told you that you were deficient in this stuff, and you just keep ignoring it till after a while, due to your lifestyle, you begin to get digestive issues. You begin to get endocrine system issues that dealing with your glands and your hormones, and you begin to get skeletal issues. I broke a bone here, broke a bone there, getting arthritis, you know, stuff like that. Same thing with the air. You know, the integumentary system is your skin. All right, you need to practice, and you need to make sure that that skin is at optimal performance, right? So you need to put that skin in the various conditions to make sure that it's sending the right messages at the right time, just like it needs to be, back to the brain, and getting that body into the right situation that it needs to be, as far as temperature is concerned, as far as the blood is concerned, all that type of stuff. Then that's what you got to do. So if you are low here, all right, if you're low here, then we'll be telling you to do things like breathing techniques, right? Like getting yourself out in the atmosphere, and just especially when the wind is blowing and stuff like that, and just stopping and allowing yourself to feel the wind on your skin. Yes. Allowing yourself to be mindful of the air you're breathing. Yes, that mindfulness will also help you increase the energy in this particular field. Also, and when you're doing right by your body here, and you're putting your body in these conditions, then you'll start excreting better. You'll start breathing better because you'll be doing the breathing techniques, and you'll be putting yourself in these situations to where it fortifies how your body responds. to your brain, how your skin is responding to your brain. It's strengthening all of these systems is what I'm saying. And so that's what you got to understand. If you got too much of something, you may have a problem in these areas. And if you got too less of something, you may have a problem in these areas. Okay. And so that's why we're saying that too much and too less is still a out of control situation. You need to be in the middle. That's full control. When you're in the middle, that is full control over your body, over your mind, over your spirit, and over your emotions, okay? And that's what this is all about as well, because also these represent those same things. So you can say here for fire, we can put this down here as fire. This is your spirit. Your spirit, the way that you're able to be motivated and encouraged about things. Always, you're always amped up and ready to go. You never have a problem with being motivated and being encouraged to do anything, okay? And that's gonna be good for you. All right, this right here represents the body. Okay, this represents the body. So you want to take care of your body through what? Through foods and through grounding yourself out with nature. So basically you want to get a connection back with the body and nature. So when you're talking about foods, you're actually talking about not only eating the right foods, but maybe even going out and experiencing how food is made. Like look at gardening, look at farming, okay, and participate in putting your hands in the soil so that you're not only looking at, okay, I'm eating right, but I'm also eating the foods that I'm planting. And I'm getting closer and closer to nature through that way. And in that way, that's going to not only help my body, but it's also going to help everything about nature and me building up the understanding of that duality. Now, what is the most important thing about nature, you guys, is why we need to do it, because that's your greatest teacher. Nature teaches you how to love. It teaches you how to be faithful. Nature teaches you how to be accepting. You know, nature teaches you how to be vulnerable. Nature teaches you how to understand life and death. I mean, it's every lesson in life is in nature. It teaches you about abundance, but it also teaches you about philanthropy, because not only is the earth and nature is abundant in all these stuff for our life, but it gives back as well as take, right? And so that's the lessons of life. That's what you need, baby. That's what you need, baby. So right here, okay, this is gonna be what we talking about. This is gonna be the mind, okay? This is going to be the mind right here. And this is why this is important, because when you breathing techniques and when you're being mindful about the air touching your skin and feeling those sensations and getting back in contact with those sensations, then it actually allows us to have more control over the mental capacity. And with these particular people here, you know, these people don't mind expanding and don't mind clarity. They get that clarity through being very open and being very sensitive to the airwaves. You know, I always used to say that, you know, when I used to get unctions, I always used to say, I guess my head's in the clouds, I can get stuff through the airwaves, right? And so I always used to say that because when I say certain stuff, I would hear it again in certain sectors of life and say, okay, I was in those airwaves, then I guess all of us caught it at that particular moment that it was being handed down from the airwaves, okay? So that's what that means, man. The body, you can expand and you can have clarity here. Expand and have clarity. The body, you can have peace and you can have embodiment. Peace and embodiment is here. Why? Because this represents structure and stability. Okay, this represents the mind, again, to expand and have clarity. Now this right here is your emotion, guys. All right, ever moving, energy in motion. That's why it's water. Energy in motion is forever moving, all right? But it also facilitates all of the different parts of life, okay? And so here is where we get our love and connection at, right? Here is where we get our love and our connection at. Now understand that we're getting all of these things through fire, earth, and water, through the elements, right? That's what I'm trying to tell you. It's really all about you and nature. It really doesn't have a whole lot to do with me selling you some this or selling you some that. It's got something to do with before you start changing your diets and before you start taking on all of these different practices that these people got out here for you guys, I'm going to just give you the truth. Get yourself back into nature. I'm giving it all to you. You can go back and keep rewinding this video so that you can get all of these particular things so you understand, okay, this is how I heal myself. He basically telling us how to do it. Now, if you on fire, if you're in excess of fire, meaning that if you're Aries, a Leo, and a Sagittarius, and then once we do all of these understandings and you're still in excess, that means you utilize a lot of this and probably less other stuff, right? So we want, as far as herbs are concerned, right? So you know this stuff also has some herbs. You want cooling herbs. If you're too hot. If you're too dry, you want moistening herbs, right? I know I might have spelled that moistening wrong. Here, if you're too cold, you want hot herbs, spices, herbs that open up the circulatory system. You know, them always gonna be your what? Your peppers and stuff like that. Come on, man. Y'all know what this thing is. If you're too wet, you need some drying herbs, okay? You need some drying herbs. So again, when you're looking at what the doctor done told you about your disease, right? Because I know most of y'all got to go get diagnosed from the doctor. The doctor gonna tell you you got X, Y, and Z plus D, okay? And when you go and get all of that, you need to come back and look at this video and look at what area of this is at, okay? But again, you can help yourself out just by doing that. But the reality of it is know who you are first. When you know who you are first, then I could have told you that you may have been susceptible to those A, B, C, D, and E before you even got into the situation. And that's why this is more of a preventative way of healing our people. And that's why you really need to come holler at your boy HerbMan Inc. so that we can get you all situated with what you need to watch out for from the time that you're able to control what you put in your mouth yourself. You know, I'm not going, you know, you're still living with your mom and daddy, them, it may be a little hard for you to really do this because you're not in control over what you're doing for yourself. But once you get out as an adult, you need to incorporate how to be balanced. How to be balanced. So, and the first thing you got to do is understand, you got to get with people who can tell you what to watch out for based on who you really are and what you can do based on who you really are. Okay, but we got to get down to the point of knowing who we really are, you guys. That's the bottom line to everything. You got to get down to understand who you really are. And you're going to find that out through going back and stripping away all of the taught things and all of the educated things and all of the stuff that they told us. And you got to rip that stuff away and go all the way back to just you. Don't worry about your name. Don't worry about your title. Don't worry about where you live at. Don't worry about your material gain. Don't worry about what you got or what you don't got. Don't worry about what you're wearing. Don't worry about who mom being somebody's parents. Don't worry about anything. Just go back to being you and understanding what are your desires and what are your disappointments. And that's a whole balancing act in itself. A lot of us who are in life now, we are experiencing more disappointments than desires, than our desires being met. Right? And so you have this perspective that life is just full of disappointments. And so you go out on the town and you start disappointing. You're like, hell, I ain't gonna just let y'all keep disappointing me. I'm finna start disappointing some people. Let's get into, let's make this thing foul. And so hurt people start hurting people, right? Because we feel like that's just it. It's just so much disappointment. You never ever get a chance to feel how it feels to reach your desires, to meet your desires. You got a poor guy wanting to be rich, but he never really figures out how to be rich. He just stays in the portum, right? You got a you know, a abused kid, or you got something like that going on with these children, and they feel as though, you know, everybody takes advantage, everybody abuses. You know, I want to get out of this home, but I can't. I want to leave here, but I ain't. And so all of your aspirations and all of those internal desires that you want, you never see them come to fruition. and you start looking at life as this is just a onslaught of disappointments. And we need to tip the scales back into your favor. We need for you to understand, human, that your desires and that this life is meant for you to have more accomplishments than it is disappointments. But it's all about changing your perspective here. And so if you allow people like myself to show you how to renew your mind, I can show you how to renew your health. If you allow people like me to show you how to renew your mind, you can renew your finances. If you allow people like me to show you how to renew your mind, you can renew yourself. So that's the understanding that you gotta have. You know, you don't, everybody wants to be all, it's renewing your mind. And there are strategies in showing you how to do this so that you can get to where you get. And as you can see, to renew the mind, it first must start with air. To renew the mind, it first must start with air, you guys. Air. Why? Because again, you can go 3 days without water, you can go a few days without food, but when it comes to air, you can only go a few seconds. So you start there. You start there. Being mindful about the air in which you breathe. Breathing is life. Come back to some respect for that. You all over here. Bring it all the way back down to just being appreciative for the most basic element in life. Air. When you do that, we can start the journey of healing. I love you guys, man. There's absolutely nothing you can do about it. Go tell somebody to go tell somebody your homie HerbMan was on. And until next time, love HerbMan. Yo, 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 good people. Welcome to the HerbMan Show.